Verdel, if you can just let the viewers know a little bit more about yourself.
I've been an educator for over 24 years. I was a business teacher, and then I was a guidance counselor, and now I'm the director of guidance for a district on Long Island, New York. I was doing a workshop for parents, and they were parents of 11th grade students, and I had an 11th grade student. And when I started talking to the parents, I just came up with this concept that, you really are an agent for your children. Yeah. You go out and you find the resources for them, you find information for them, and you bring it to them, just like a sports agent brings opportunities to their athletes, and then they have to perform. And as I was saying this to them, I kind of got a little overwhelmed, and and it really kind of prompted me to say, hey, parents really need a tool to help their children get through this process, but starting at an early age and really getting to know their child.
Jacki J. I'm your host, Martinique Brown, and I'm so excited that you guys have decided to join the show today. You know why? Because we're having a great show today. I think that's so funny that I always say that at the beginning of my shows, but I'm serious. We just have really good shows, and hopefully I don't sound biased, because I'm the one that create and produce the shows, but I really think that they're good shows. And so I'm just excited that I was able to create a show that really just helps individuals learn how to just create a effective Instagram page, as well as a page that really speaks to their target audience. If they're a business owner or entrepreneur or author or anything like that, because I know I truly struggle in the area of just learning how to create an effective Instagram. And I've just learned, and I've heard so many people say, well, that's really where you get your clientele from. I'm like, oh, really? So I need help in that area. So when I met Jacki, I actually learned that she helps individuals just create a beautiful Instagram page. So that's why we joined together, we joined forces so we can create a show that is very interactive, because we show you step by step how to do certain things. And another cool thing about the show is we actually bring people on the show that we can help, and we actually I'm saying I don't do anything. I just navigate the show, but Jacki actually analyzes individuals' Instagram pages. If you're interested in having that done to your page, make sure you go to that link where it says newsletter. You have to subscribe to that newsletter, and then you will be able to qualify to get your Instagram page analyzed.
Well, I am Jacki Jacobs. I am the owner of Jacki Jacobs Photography. I do brand coaching and brand photography for small businesses and entrepreneurs. Basically, my mission is to help small businesses and entrepreneurs tell their authentic brand stories with images that connect them with their ideal clients. And through that process, I discovered that many of my clients don't actually know or have a solid plan for their brand. So I started adding the strategy plans to my process.
Okay, and let me add this one thing. If you guys are interested in getting in touch with us, all of our contact information is in the description box. Make sure you follow our Instagram page, as well as just subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have any questions, go ahead and post your questions, and Jacki will answer those questions at a different time. So Kiana, just please introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hi, my name is Kiana Wright, and I am out of Flint, Michigan. I am an author and I am a self-publisher. I also develop empowerment sessions that correlates with the books that I have written. So I am just new to this whole arena of entrepreneurship and becoming an author and also developing empowerment sessions.
That's good. That's good. Well, welcome to the show, Kiana. Thank you again
Hi.
for allowing us to just look at your page and see what we can do to really just boost up some followers as well as hopefully sales in your books. So I'm going to change the role now. So Jackie will be able to navigate the screen and she's going to just take it from here. All right, Jackie, all yours.
All right. Okay. So to start, I just want to let people know what my experience is with Instagram in case you missed our little promo last week. But I started doing Instagram because I had interns who told me I needed to be on Instagram. And they basically would post behind the scenes images of me taking photos of my clients. But they wouldn't include any content. So it wasn't really working for me. So I didn't think Instagram worked at all. And then I know, right? So then what happened is as time grew on, I realized that I could get engagement from my audience if I did certain things. And so through a process of trial and error, and through taking a bunch of paid courses online, I learned what doesn't work for me. And then I found the things that were working for me and I crafted a formula that other people can use going forward. But before I even apply the formula, I tell people you need to have like your Instagram page set up in a way that you have some idea of who you are. And so that's sort of where I came about with this process. So all of you guys here today are going to get chances to, through your Instagram feed, tell me and the other audience members exactly who you are. And so today we're going to start this process with Kiana. She submitted her page and it looks like it's fairly new. Is that accurate, Kiana?
Yes, it is.
And so we're going to go through what it looks like if you're starting off, but even if you aren't just starting off, you can apply all of these steps to brand yourself in Instagram. Okay. So Kiana, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me a little bit about why you wrote your book.
Okay, my book is basically a book that is of prayers and inspiration. So I got the inspiration to teach other believers of the faith how to pray and how to journal their prayers.
Okay, great. And what is the why behind why you did that? So that's what you did. But what I need to know is like what motivated you to take your ideas and put them to paper?
Because I taught my own self how to journal. It's easy to pray out loud, but it's difficult sometimes to actually write a prayer. So my why is to teach other people. I have a passion for writing my prayers in a journal. And so I want to be able to teach others how to do the same.
So you're telling me a lot of surface information. So when you think about your why, you need to dig really deep. You need to think about why it's important for you to teach people and show people this thing. What is that doing for you? So for example, my why is I seek to build confidence in specifically women business owners, especially if their goals are in alignment with my goals, which is to raise up other women, because we're in a society where women are torn down from a young age. We're made fun of on the playgrounds for our size or our clothes or whatever. And that's ingrained in us from youth. And so my goal in life is to overcome that. And by doing this for business owners, these are very influential people. So they are passing that message on because I know what it is like personally to feel like I'm worthless. So, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to basically build this confidence in business owners moving forward. So what I need you to do is tell me why, like, what is that providing for you and how does it connect to you? It might even go all the way back to your youth, to a time when you either didn't have something or you had something and it was so amazing that you needed to share it and pay it forward.
Okay. Well, I guess my why is I want to be able to inspire women to reach within their self to the most inner being, to be able to overcome maybe some barriers that they have. Because what taught me how to journal and pray was because I went through my parents had recently had a divorce when I was 16, and I wasn't able to talk to anyone. So I found myself journaling more and being able to talk to God about it, and just being able to get my feelings out in writing. So it has empowered me and helped me as an individual to now be able to encourage others that may have went through the same thing, or just be able to get those feelings out on the paper.
Okay, awesome. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull up your Instagram feed really quickly, so we can see where you're at, and then we're going to talk about where we're going to take you.
Verdel, if you can just let the viewers know a little bit more about yourself.
I've been an educator for over 24 years. I was a business teacher, and then I was a guidance counselor, and now I'm the director of guidance for a district on Long Island, New York. I was doing a workshop for parents, and they were parents of 11th grade students, and I had an 11th grade student. And when I started talking to the parents, I just came up with this concept that, you know, you really are an agent for your children. Yeah. You go out and you find the resources for them, you find information for them, and you bring it to them, just like a sports agent brings opportunities to their athletes, and then they have to perform. And as I was saying this to them, I kind of got a little overwhelmed, and and it really kind of prompted me to say, hey, parents really need a tool to help their children get through this process, but starting at an early age and really getting to know their child.
Okay, so let me share the screen. All right, so this is what your Instagram feed looks like. Now I'm signed in as you, so just so the internet knows, I have signed in as Kiana. So there might be posts that we're seeing that are normally private. Do you have a couple of those? Is that accurate?
No, I don't.
Okay, so all of these are public posts. Okay, great. So basically from this is a lot like what my Instagram feed looked like when I got started. It was just pictures that happened in the moment. I played around with some of them. They didn't really have a cohesion. They didn't really tell a story. What I am seeing in several images is there's a green color in most of them. And then there's a pink color. Do you have brand colors selected yet?
I don't.
Okay.
I do have for my daughters. Hers is the pink and white.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't really necessarily have a brand color yet.
Gotcha. So what you want to think about when you're thinking about your brand color is what color means and what emotions that evokes for you, because you are trying to inspire people and your mission is of the spiritual side. So I would recommend looking at colors in the pinks and purple scheme, and maybe a little bit of blue. So, because those are calming colors, those are like natural sort of colors you think of when you think of faith and hope and that kind of thing. So so that's what I recommend, is thinking about your brand colors, so you can bring some cohesion. All right, so I'm going to share just I have a checklist here of things that I want to go over with you today, Kiana, and so that way the viewers can also learn from it. But I always try to have a mission when I go into one of these shows, so that way we know where the beginning is and we know where the end is. And then anything that follows, any questions that get asked, I can revisit them later. And if there are enough people asking those questions, we can base a show content around it. Okay. So the first thing we're going to cover is your profile photo, turning your account into a business account, creating a bio that engages, using emojis to bring some personality in, picking your color scheme, which I just briefly touched on because it was the first thing that jumped out at me, and then coming up with some power words that you can use in your posts that will continue to be consistent, because the key in creating an engaged Instagram feed is being consistent. Okay. So I'm going to pop back over here. All right. And so the first thing on our list is the headshot, right? Yes. So this looks like a selfie. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And it's a selfie from an angle that I don't recommend, because this is what I call the up the nose shot. So when you're taking a selfie, so if you're going to replace this photo for now, your best bet is you want to take it from slightly above, because what that does is we women, when we smile, we do this, right?
Yeah.
So you have to kind of overcompensate. You're going to push your chin out and down, and then you'll look up at your camera. And what that's going to do is widen your eyes. So see how when you're looking down, your eyes get closed further. So if you have to have a selfie because you either don't have a professional headshot or you haven't had them done yet, then just take a selfie, but take it with flattering lighting and from an angle above you, and do the chin out and down. So it's a nice flattering image and there's not any looking up the nostrils. Right.
Okay.
So that's just a quick fix you could do tonight, right?
Yeah.
And the next thing, so when you do finally have your professional headshot done, what you want to do is you want to make sure that it has space on either side of your shoulders. You want to make sure that it has your brand colors in it. You want to make sure that your face is done the way that you want it to look, or find someone who does amazing Photoshop for any like blemishes or anything that might show up in the photo. You're going to want to make sure that it's a smiling shot, because people will engage with someone who they think is having a really good time. So you really want to make sure you're smiling, or you might put your book in the photo with you to show that you're an author, or maybe a photo of you writing would be a great way to express that your business centers around that. Or as simple as, because it involves prayer, putting your hands into a prayer pose. Try playing with a couple things. I have a client who's a writer, and when I did her headshot, she wanted to put her hand on her heart because she wrote a book called The Heart of Self-Care. And so she puts her hand on her heart, and so we have one shot where she's looking down and one shot where she's looking right at the camera, but it portrayed that message she really wanted to get across with a single image. It told us a little bit about who she is. And that's what a great headshot will do for you, is not just show you looking professional, that you had the money to throw at getting a professional headshot, but it also gives the impression that you're really in touch with what you do and you're showing your personality through that as well, because people will engage with you more if they think you're approachable. And a lot of business headshots are like this. And this is a little bit of I call this the real estate pose, because realtors do this. And I find it off-putting. So unless you're leaning into it, it's this body language here says closed off. There are ways that you can adjust it to open that back up, but those are some small tips on getting a good professional headshot. Make sure there's space around your shoulders, so that way if they crop it to a circle like Instagram does, you don't end up with, just this much of your face, So you want to make sure people can see all of your face and shoulders, so that way we know you don't end at your neck. And if you do end at your neck, then, by all means, make sure you're wearing a great piece of jewelry. So that's step one, is a good profile photo. Some people have asked me, what about a logo? A logo is great if you are not the face of your business. So if you are a small business, or you're part of a franchise, having the logo is going to be more beneficial. However, if it's a large franchise, you're going to want to put your face on there to distinguish you from the other people who run the same franchise. So a logo is not recommended, simply because the idea of using Instagram specifically is to give you and your brand personality, and to show that you are easy to approach and you're engageable. So, logos can be great for like a time saver. Like if you don't have a professional headshot and you don't feel confident in your selfie skills, you can throw your logo up there. But most people want to engage with a human being, even if it is through a business. All right. So the second item on our checklist is the business account. Okay. So I discovered that you cannot actually do this through the web version. So I'm showing you guys briefly that if you have this on your phone, you're going to go to the settings button, and it'll show up in blue at the bottom, create business account. I'm going to show you guys briefly on my phone. So let me stop sharing so I can show you my phone screen. Okay. So this is Kiana's account here, right? And so you're going to see that little, I'm using my mouse to kind of point at those three lines. You're going to click on that because that's your menu. Once you get to menu, you're going to go down to settings all the way at the bottom. Okay. And then all the way at the down at the bottom, it says add business account. So you're going to click on that, and then you're going to go through and answer the questions that it asks you. So it's going to ask you for like your business phone number and all that other stuff, for the simple reason that I do not want to share Kiana's personal information on this video. We're not going to go through that process now because there are some questions she may not want to share. Like, I believe it makes you put in your address, so that way it can legitimize you as a business. So you don't want to skip that step, because what you get when you make your account a business account is you get all of the analytics. So it tells you how many people are checking out your photos, how many people are liking, how many people are commenting, what ones are performing better than others, who your audience is when they're online. So all of this information is trackable once you make your account a business account. And then if you have a business website, you can link it there in your bio. And then you have the ability to go through and do the blue check authorization, which is a whole longer video that we're not going to get into today. But once you make your account a business account, you now have the tools that you need to find out what is working and what isn't working. And so that is one of the top things that I tell all of my clients right away, is that you really need to go ahead and make your account a business account first thing. So get a good headshot, business account. All right. So those are the first two things on the checklist. The next thing is, I noticed here Kiana does not have her bio set up, which is fine because I didn't forever and ever and ever. But once people see, if they see something in their newsfeed that they like, or she's been searched and found through hashtags, which is a whole, again, other video, like it would take me at least 3 videos to go through hashtags with you guys. But if she becomes searchable and people are like, oh, that's a great post, I want to see who wrote that, and they go over and it just looks like this screams personal profile. So, because there's pictures of kids, there's pictures of, activities. It doesn't say, this is the only one here that sort of says this might be a professional page, right? Mm-hmm. So what we want to do to eliminate that is we want to start thinking about what you want in your bio for when people land on it. So I'm going to pull up my account really quick so you can see that. So again, you can see right away, my headshot says I'm a professional photographer. I mean, maybe I don't use this vintage camera, but you can see that I have a little bit of fun. I wear vintage hats. I like to glam it up a little bit. The next thing that I recommend for your profile is asking a question that's going to engage your audience right away. So my biggest client concern is that they're not attracting their ideal clients. They keep attracting the clients that give them headaches. The ones that they're taking on because they need the money, but they end up being a nightmare and it's not worth the money. So I tell them, well, are you not attracting the people who jive with your vibe? So that's the first question that I ask at the beginning. And so that's what establishes what I do for my clients, is I take what I do and I turn it into a question that will get people thinking, do I attract the wrong clientele? And so if they do, the answer to that question is yes, I say I can help. But rather than write out, because you only have so many characters, I know it's more than you get on Twitter, because Twitter is like 144, but you still don't get a whole lot of characters. So you have to plan this in advance. So when you say that you can help, you then want to think of 3 major things that you provide for your client, 3 services or 3 things that you actually do. And you're going to bullet them, right? So I'm a personal brand photographer, I'm a storyteller, and I'm a paparazzi. I basically follow my clients around all day, telling their stories with my camera. Okay. And so those were the 3 things that I chose to describe what I do. And then instead of using bullets, I used emojis that sort of connect to those topics. So that way it's fun, it's a little bit funky, but it shows that I'm young and hip and kind of with it. And I can talk to people who are also young and hip and kind of with it without seeming like like an old person who's just trying to get their information up there. So emojis are great at telling a story in like no time. You'll see on here, I have a hashtag. Don't worry about that now. We'll cover that at a later time. But mainly, if you can get an engaging question on your bio, 3 things that are what you do that you've simplified, and then you want to make sure there's a link in your bio to your website, to the place where you're selling your book, whatever you're going to redirect them to the most is what you want to have your link as. So my link, which the links are kind of ridiculous, they don't work on the computer. So every time I click on a link on the computer, it tells me the link is broken. But I created a separate page on my website, which is a whole, again, we will cover this at some point, I'm sure. That's a call to action page, which is how some of you may have gotten here today. Because I have a call to action page with a button that links over to where we're posting this live. Okay, so the main things you want to make sure you have in your bio: an engaging question, 3 things that you do to solve your clients' issues, emojis instead of bullets, and a link to your website or to something that you're going to ask them to do. And that covers the use emojis.
So I have a question for you, Jacki.
Yes.
So for the with the business page and the personal page, the individual is going to have 2 pages.
They might have 2 pages. It depends on how much you want to share. Like I tell businesses, if you're going to have an Instagram page, you need a goal for that page. What is that page doing for you? Is it engaging your clients? Is it there to help you get new business, or is it there to help educate your potential clients? Like I said, I'm a photographer, but I teach courses on Instagram because my clients don't know what to do with their photos when they're done. They know they need them. They get a couple for their website, and then their Instagram feeds look like no one's ever visited them, or it's like the food that they ate, or it's the color they painted their toenails last week, which is great stuff to include as long as you're including content that actually engages your audience and shows them that you do business as well as, you're a human being. So there's a fine line you have to kind of walk. So it, like, if we are using me as an example, again, we'll scroll down, you see there's these posts here are all from these 2 here are from promoting this show. This is from me overcoming my fear of swimming while I swim with manatees. So it's not super outlined there, but there's 2 videos. One is of manatees and one is of me waving at you from inside the water. Mm-hmm. This is another video of manatees. This is that day. So all of these 3 posts were from the same day. Other things is, I had a beverage before I attended a workshop because I was so nervous about all of the people I was going to be meeting at the workshop. This is me at Dapper Days at Disney. So here is my personal stuff. And then you can see up here, I have some of my professional stuff mixed in. But if I post something personal, I try to tie it back into how I run my business. So like, I'm always trying to convince my clients to overcome their fear, especially their fear of being photographed, because it's really painless. And so I tell them the easiest way to do it is to just jump in with both feet. So these are the kind of things that I post. But then I also post things like, okay, here is a workshop that I ran at an event called the Nerd Summit, where I ran a workshop on beta testing for your business. Here's some behind the scenes of different events that I've run. This is one of the selfie of all of the people who attended one of my Instagram classes. Then I have content that's educational mixed in here. Then I have inspirational quotes. So you can be a little bit all over the board as long as you sort of tie it all back to what you're doing in the end. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I guess I'm just also thinking about, if you strictly don't want to take that time to like make it tie all in and things like that, then do you recommend that it's better just to have 2 accounts?
You can, I do, if there's stuff you want to keep private, I recommend having a private account that's only like friends only. But otherwise, I would work it in, because you're trying to show people how you're different than the other person who does exactly what you do. Because in a world full of 6 billion people, there is no one who is that unique anymore.
Okay.
You know, there's always someone doing what you do. So the best way to work into it is to tie in your personal aspect and show how it highlights what you do and makes you better at what you do. If you do need to have, like, so I have some clients who have kids and they don't want to post photos of their kids. So they have 2 accounts. People who have kids don't mind posting them, but don't want them to be part of their business. They use hashtags to separate the content. So they don't draw new attention to the posts of their family members. They won't add hashtags to those posts.
Okay.
They will add hashtags to the ones that they're trying to get out there to a new audience.
I understand.
Okay. All right. Let's see where we're at on the checklist. I feel like I'm not asking you too many questions, Kiana, because I did ask some of them beforehand, but I hope I'm touching on some pain points of yours.
Yes.
Okay. And so picking a color scheme, we kind of talked about that, how, you know, if you sign up for the newsletter, I think email number 2 has a video where I kind of go through and talk about how to pick your color scheme, or at least what different colors might mean. Or I encourage you to go out and use Pinterest or, you know, the Google to find what colors mean. And these are based on psychology, things that people think about the colors already. So this isn't like made up. I didn't just say, hey, you know what? Blue means business. And that's what it is. No, this is like polled information. It's scientifically gathered. So when you see the color sheets that are put out, if you look and make sure that they're from a reputable scientific study, you should be fine when you're picking your colors, because it appeals to people on the psychological level. So you want to pick 1 to 3 colors that represent your brand. And each of those colors says something, and each of those shades can swing in a different way. So when you think about a bright red, like candy apple red, you think sports car or you think stop sign, right? So it's 2 extremes. It's kind of like, you know, bold statement, and it's all and like stop, don't go any further. So it encourages, entices at the same time. So red is a tricky color and you really have to play it off right. Blues tend to be more business related, more soothing, more calming. Greens are more about nature. Orange is more about caution or, you know, construction, getting things done. And yellows are happy, bright, usually related to childcare. And purples are more about the spiritual. So it, like, every color has a meaning, but then each shade has a different meaning. So when you're looking at a bright red versus a magenta, or like a burgundy or like a wine color, you have 2 different meanings. So when people see those colors, their brain thinks more jewel tones, relaxing, richness, and then as opposed to the red, which is more urgent, you know, more anxiety driven, and the burgundy or the magenta is more of a relaxing version of that color. So you don't have to rule out a color simply because first impressions are like, whoa. You can find a shade of that color. And finally, your power words. I tell people to come up with 3 to 5 power words that sort of represent the attitude of their business. Because once you have these guidelines, you can sort of go through planning your content and see, does this match what my brand is? Because the words and the colors are going to set the tone for your brand. Any questions?
No, I think you covered it all. And
all right.
I'm looking forward to adding some of these tips to my Instagram page.
Excellent. So when I'm looking at these here, I see that you have a great connection to your kids, which again, the family aspect of what you do is important. And so if you want to work that in, great. Just make sure that you do it in a way that you're always tying it back to why you do what you do, how you do what you do, and what you do.
Okay.
Right? So those are the 3 major questions that you're always going to ask. And the color and those words are going to help make sure you're on brand, basically.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
My daughter also is an entrepreneur, so that's why you see a lot of her on my page. Do I
Yeah.
need to do two separate pages, or how can I bind both?
I would do two separate pages. I would have one for her business and one for yours.
Okay.
If you are intricately involved in her business,
I
and
am.
that your business supports her business, you
Yes.
can cross promote each other's pages easily enough, but you still want to separate them, especially if you have different whys, different things that you do. So like if you're not both authors who write about prayer and journaling, you're going to want to separate those, because what she's going to do is going to be in a totally different field and it might even have a totally different audience than what you have. So if you're appealing to her audience on your page, but not your audience on your page, then you're missing out on sales.
Okay.
Okay. But
So
yes. Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, I don't.
So I have a question with the color schemes. How do you brand yourself with the color schemes when you taking different pictures and you're always wearing different things, you have different color backgrounds and things like that?
That's a great question. And I actually addressed this in that video that I made with that comes out with the second email. But basically what happens is when you decide what colors represent your brand, they're representing your why. They're part of what appeals to you. And so they tend to be colors you look good in because you wear them often already. So that's part of why they're in the forefront of your mind when you're branding your business. Although I will say that when I picked out the brand color of mint green, I never had worn it before ever. And I didn't think it would look good on me. Mm-hmm. And then I bought a single dress for like $10 and put it on and got more compliments than anything else and realized that I was on brand. And so because I was like walking the walk as well as talking the talk, it actually gained me more attention. And normally, sadly, my nails are not done, but normally I have like mermaid fingernails and those start more conversations. Wearing your brand colors starts more conversations with you that easily flow into what you do for work. Mm-hmm. So for example, people really love like my laptop bag, which is mint green. And they're like, oh my God, I love that bag. And I'm like, thanks. I bought it specifically because it was in my brand colors. And that opens the door to talking about my brand. But then, because people will be like, oh, what do you do? And so then you have that organic conversation happen simply because you showed up somewhere with your brand colors. So if you're always kind of bringing at least one item, accessory, clothing, I have so many pairs of sunglasses, I can't even tell you. And they're all like on brand. So everything that I have, like I picked them up over time, but eventually the statement pieces that people keep seeing on me over and over again represent my brand. And so it's easy that no matter where I go, if I have a ring on, I can put it down somewhere on a table next to my pen and say, okay, today I'm working on location here. This is a little glimpse into my process. And so I've branded it because I put my item, in there that has my branding colors in it.
Okay, I understand.
So it's mostly that once you decide what your colors are, it's like when you're about to buy a new car and you start seeing that car everywhere. Mm-hmm. Once you decide what your brand colors are, you see them everywhere. TJ Maxx is like my favorite place because I just bought this the other day. See, this is in my brand colors as well. It's just a notebook. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh, that's great. Because when I'm wherever it fits in my purse, I can pull it out, throw it down with a pen and say, I'm working on location today. Here's what I'm doing. Or I can show people lists that I've made on it. It's really about figuring out what your brand colors are. And then you always kind of have them with you for when you're taking photos on location. And at some point, I'll talk about cultivating your content and creating content that you can schedule out into the future. And how you can just start a collection of items that are in your brand colors and in your brand theme and use those items to create the background images for the content you're posting. Wow.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I know that's what I said to Kiana when I first learned.
I have a lot to say.
I was like, wow, this is much. It's another job. Yeah. So I mean, but that's really good information,
Hmm.
and I just think that, like, I don't know what works for you all. Do you just focus on maybe 15 minutes a day that you're going to do this and work on it? Because I know with the type of person that I am, I have to say, okay, each day I'll work on it for 15 minutes, in order for it to get done. So what do y'all do when you do learn something new like this in order to implement it into your daily lifestyle?
I know the way that the way that I do it is I do post organically, which when I run my class, I talk about the difference between organic and cultivated content. And organic content is stuff that happens in the moment. And I encourage people to use that more in their stories. Because that's usually stuff that actually doesn't have a whole lot to do with your business unless it's an event or something that you're showing that you had pre-planned to do. But I talk about how to cultivate content. So how to create a theme and or a series of posts that all relate to each other, and then how to stream those together and how to basically make it a story that keeps people coming back to see what's next.
Yeah, but how do you do it on a daily basis?
I don't do it daily. I do it monthly. I spend 1 hour a month creating my content.
Wow.
Okay. So do you do anything daily though, with Instagram?
Yes, but what I do is I engage other businesses. So basically what I do is I'll go onto Instagram, scroll through the feed, and I make it a point to choose 5 people to like their images and a minimum of 3 to 5 people to comment on their posts. Because what that does is they're like, oh, this person really likes what I have to say. What do they have to say? What do they do? So they'll pop over, and a lot of times I'll gain followers just because I liked a post that someone made or because I commented on something that they did.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so now that's that with gaining followers. But what about cultivating your own,
I take an hour, 1 hour this is the formula that I teach in that workshop I told you about, is I teach the formula for creating all of your content for a whole month in a single hour, including the images.
Okay.
And scheduling them out.
Okay. So what do you do, Kiana, when you learn something new and you want to implement it, into your daily schedule? What type of person are you in order to get it done? Like, how do you do things?
Well, from this presentation, what I'm going to do is take some notes. Once I get off of the live, I'm going to take some notes, some mental notes. I'm going to take some written notes of what she recommended. And probably the first thing I'm going to do is include my professional photo because I have one. I have a professional headshot. So I'm going to incorporate that immediately. And then probably by the weekend, I may start working on it. So I guess I have to prioritize what's going to be. It's probably going to take me stages to get it to what she has recommended. Like, I'm not going to sit here tonight and for 10 hours and.
No, it won't take you 10 hours once you sit down. The hardest part is coming up with the question, guaranteed.
Yeah. And then I like the idea where you said 1 hour a month. So basically you just gathering your pictures together, kind of making them, I want to say almost like a scrapbook type of mental scrapbook in your mind of how you want to lay it out and how you want it to tell a story about your business.
Yeah. And Kiana, I have a link that I'll send you when we wrap up the video. And it is a program called Tailwind. And so it's a free month trial. So when you come on the show and you do this, I'm going to give you a link to try Tailwind for free for 1 month, which allows you to schedule your content on Instagram.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's cool. Shoot, send me the link. But Jackie and Kiana, I just thank you guys just for taking your time. Jackie, I thank you for all of the knowledge that you have in Instagram and really just sharing this with our viewers. If you really enjoy what Jackie has taught, you can actually do a video chat with Jackie yourself and just learn more specifically about how to, just make your Instagram page, the best, and really make it represent yourself as well as your brand. Like I said, her Instagram page is in the description box if you would like to get in contact with her. If you want to be on the show, if you want to have your page actually analyzed, make sure you go ahead and click on that link that says newsletter, and then sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll be able to qualify to be on the show. Kiana, I thank you just for your transparency and allowing us to take time and look at your Instagram page for a moment. And I really hope that you just learned a lot from this. Thank goodness for replay on Facebook.
Exactly.
So all of us could just go back and look at this. And
I will never look at this again because I hate watching myself in videos.
Right.
But definitely you guys can go back because you won't be paying attention to me.
But we can just look at it and really just take and compare what she said, to our pages. And so you guys, if you truly enjoy this show, make sure that you go ahead and visit my YouTube channel, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and subscribe, and also just follow us on our Facebook pages so that you will be notified when we go live, and all the different shows that I actually have as well. And I hope you guys have just a great night, and I'm thankful that you have decided to tune in to Rock Your Instagram with Jacki J, and I hope you all have a great night.